Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. Look at this. It's worked first up. And it must be because we have the beautiful Tilern with us. How are you from London?
I am very well, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm fabulous. I'm so grateful I have you here today. So thank you so much
Oh, thank you
for
for having
sitting
me.
up. Well, it's very late for you over there. What time is it over there for you?
It is now 18 minutes past 10 o'clock in the night.
So it's very late for you. So I am so grateful that you have actually, scheduled this into your very busy calendar. So thank you very, very much. And as you can see, I've even put my bling on for you. So just to
I'm in
try and
love.
give
I'm in love with your bling. I'm in love with
that
your
night
bling.
feel for you. So, very, very easy conversation. And we're going to be asking that question about the COVID-19, but, we'll get to that a bit later because I think that is on everybody's minds right now, but not in a way where we don't want to be negative because look at you glowing as usual. It's so great to see your beautiful face. I really am. I'm
Thank
really,
you.
really so honoured to have you here. So thank you. So on that, can you just tell me a bit about you and your work? And, I keep reading about liberation and transformational coach. What is that?
Well, it's the title I've carved for myself based on the process that I've gone through in my own personal and spiritual development journey. So essentially, I've always been a free spirit, but I've lost my, you go through life and circumstances come up, you make choices that I come to realize had me living within limitations. And so I had to get into a space spiritually where I had to free myself from those limitations in order to create the change I want. So I know there's lots of transformational coach out there doing their work, but I just think for me personally, I think of a caged bird and you telling them to change their address or to change their feathers, they're still going to be a caged bird. So I look
Yeah.
at it, you have to be free first. You have to be liberated in order for you to make meaningful transformation that is going to be sustainable, because it's easy to create transformation, but I think a lot of the times the transformation don't last because they weren't created from a space of freedom. They weren't created from a space of alignment. And so as a coach, I serve on the basis that I help you to break free, and then I help you to create the transformation that allows you to live in alignment.
That is awesome. And how true is that? How true? How many times do you, and as life coaches, we're both life coaches, and as life coaches, how often will we have people come to us that have been somewhere else and have experienced a transformation, but then have easily lost their way again? And
Yeah.
so I think it's so true. And as you were saying, like a bird in a cage, I kept thinking, really, in relevance to the world right now, it's a bit like the COVID-19.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
We all have to do what we have to do. However, it's still the COVID-19. It's still going to
It
be hanging
is. It's
around
still
for quite
present.
a
It's
while.
still present. Yeah.
That's exactly right. I love that. That is what a wonderful explanation. That is absolutely great because I noticed also that you have a couple of different businesses. What are they? There was one that you actually had a trademark against, and it's and do have the name of it here, and I'm actually going to just run that right off now. But
I know
you
you.
talked
I know
about the
you. I know you're
paradigm
gonna talk.
shift pathway.
So, yeah. So for me, in so my building on my own experience, I've created the paradigm shift pathway, and that's the framework that I use in my work with my clients. So depending on where you are on your journey, you will fit in at some part on the pathway, and it's designed in that way so that I'm not excluding anyone, because my philosophy is everyone needs someone. And I think regardless of where you are on your journey, you should be able to get the support if you are ready to actually create that transformation that you desire. And so for me, it's about being in that creating the pathway so that if you're just beginning your journey, you go back to class 1 essentially, and you work your way through. But maybe you've done class 1 and 2 and you need to hop in at 3. And so it's about having that space where you can come in and we can validate that that's where you are and then build you from there. And if you're at the top and you think you've got little bits that are missing, we can sort of structure it so that you get the bits that you're missing and you can continue on your journey. So
Wow.
you shift based on, you fit in based on the shift that you're currently experiencing.
That is fabulous. And that's very similar to the Louise Hay. I'm a Louise Hay life coach, a Louise Hay
Okay.
Heal Your Life.
Ah,
I'm also, just a everyday life coach as well. Ah, you've got the Louise Hay Heal Your Life. It's one of my key tools in my key. I think I've got 3 versions now. It's crazy.
yes,
I
I
have.
love it. I love
I know.
it.
It's such an amazing toolbox. It really is. It's and
Absolutely.
like your beautiful pathway, it actually allows you to work with your clients on their terms with their needs, as opposed to being very structured in a way that sometimes we find that transformation works and it then we fall off the rail, because we sometimes do that, don't we? We all actually have that time where we need to go back and have another look at where
Yeah.
we are and what we're doing. And I think, as we both probably know, as being life coaches, you yourself are going through a transformation yourself. I myself as well, I was in the corporate world for 4 years, and
Yeah.
this is now what I do full time, and I just love it. But you're constantly reinventing yourself, and you would be like
I
me.
love that word. I love that word, reinvention.
Well, you
So I
have
consider
to, don't you?
you have to. I always tell people I'm the master of reinvention because it's so necessary. And when you're able to be in that space where you're reinventing yourself, but you're doing so intentionally, it's like it doesn't matter what comes, because you know that you're always gonna build back up, or you're gonna be able to stand up again. You're gonna be able to move forward. So it's really about being in that space where you're constantly reinventing yourself. And I just
Absolutely.
love it.
I know, and it's so great because reinventing means that you're always going to have some mistakes, and you might have to draw a line in the sand or start again or whatever. But that's okay. That's all part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And we're certainly all feeling that with the COVID-19 right now. Like, we have to reinvent ourselves. I mean, I've been talking about putting, 3 years, 2 years. And
Mm.
I have, most of my clients are not face-to-face clients. The majority of my clients are actually across the country. And so
Mm.
this has just thrown me over the cliff and said, hey, girlfriend, you've been sitting around procrastinating for way too long. Get yourself out there.
Get moving.
That's right. And so it's had to make many of us take that transformation and say, well, what next? What next?
And that's what we have to do. I think with everything that's going on globally, I think I consider it to be a gift to us as humans, where we have gotten so into the habit of chasing things and acquiring things, and now we have all been given. We can't say that we haven't been given. We've all been forced essentially to really pause and say, hang on a second, is this what I want my life to stand for? Do I have the sense of fulfillment that I'm desiring? Do I have the level of peace that I'm desiring? Is this what I want my business or my career to look like? So it's about really getting into that space where you can actually consciously make that decision. And like you say, reinvent, shift where you need to shift, get rid of what you need to get rid of, and then equally bring in the things that you need to bring in. So I totally agree with you. It is a season of reinvention, a season of rebirth for those who are aware of it as such. Because some people will
Abs-
miss it.
oh, absolutely. And rebirth is actually, I know that you loved my, my word. Now I can't even remember what I said. Look at that. I just use it. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Reinvention.
Reinvention. That's it. But rebirth is exactly the same. I love the fact that we have been given an opportunity to rebirth. And
Mm.
I keep saying to people all the time, we need to reflect back on this, even as we're going through it. Is this the way we want to look back on this time? This is going to be a time in history. But,
It
and
certainly
we're a
is.
part of history. Are we actually going to look back on this and go, I lived my best life. I was the best version of me.
Mm. That is the question. That is the question, because we have, hey Father, hope you're well. So it's about being in that space. How do you use this gift that you've been given? That's,
What
to
a
me,
gift
that's
it
the
is.
question.
I mean, we do have some people, I don't know about you over there in London, but we have here in Australia, we actually have a number of people that have to work from home and also homeschool their children. So
Yes.
that's been really challenging as well. So, I mean, people like you and I have been able to take that step back. I know you're
Mm.
studying as well as working, as well as you're a mum. You're got many, many hats as well. And
Too many.
probably too many. Probably, and maybe this time is that time to say to you, which hat do you actually need to surrender? And it doesn't mean that you need to hang it up forever, but for yourself, what do you need to pop on the shelf for a short time?
Absolutely. I agree with you. And it's pretty much the same here in London, where parents are having to work from home in some instances and still homeschool. And I really feel it. I've got a friend who's got three kids, and she's working from home and she's homeschooling.
Oh,
So for me, that's a lot to take on. And I think a lot of relationships are coming under pressure because you're not used to spending so much time with partners over such for such prolonged period of time. So cracks are beginning to appear. So it's really about sort of a season where we really need to do that deep level reevaluation of our values and what we will tolerate and what we won't tolerate, and the things that matters and the ones that don't. And like you're saying, it's about prioritizing. What do I want to focus on now? Which values do I want to sort of bring into the forefront, and which ones are not quite as important right now that can probably go on the back burner? And that's what we all have to be doing at this time. And I trust that more people will get into that space and become comfortable with it.
yeah, and it's actually about making us be uncomfortable right now, isn't it?
Well, I said, I made a post earlier where I said it's okay to be comfortable, because some people are really uncomfortable with peace. Some people are really uncomfortable with being still. And that's one of the reasons why this season is so challenging, because just getting quiet, it's like, oh my God, I've got
Absolutely.
to face all of that. And so this is where conflicts come because it's just too uncomfortable to be at peace.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's making these. My husband actually fits into that category. He's one of those men that doesn't like to slow down. I call him the Duracell bunny. And this is
Mm,
making him slow down, and he is hating it. But and that was when he first started. But as time has gone on,
mm,
I can see him adapting to the change much better. I notice on a weekend now, he'll come in at 3 o'clock and he'll have a shower and he'll hop on the lounge and just relax.
yeah.
And that was not something he did. He would basically often come in later before dinner, go in, have his shower, and come and sit and eat and go to bed.
Ah,
Whereas now it's allowing him also to look at that time himself.
yes, we have to do that. That's
We
something that we
do.
do have to do.
Absolutely. You're also an NLP practitioner and coach. What does that mean? Tell us a bit about that.
So NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming,
Yep.
and I call it a tool. Some people call it strategy, but it's a system that is essentially used to help people reshape their thought patterns, so their behavior patterns. So we so we use sort of certain strategies, certain tips, certain tools to be able to help people, whether it's your limiting belief, whether you've got a habit that you want to break, whether it is that you want to develop a positive habit. So it's about incorporating that into your way of doing, your way of thinking, so that the patterns of behavior becomes more ingrained and you can adopt in a more meaningful and positive way. That's it in a nutshell.
Great. That's excellent. That is, and I just love that life coaches are everywhere at the moment.
Yeah.
We probably need life coaches more than anything, more than ever. And I often say to people, I have my own life coaches. That is really important as well, even us as coaches.
You need to. We're human as well.
Exactly. And people say to me, because I love working with people, as you know, I'm a psychic medium as well. And I'm also a wellness practitioner, but I love to work with people in this space. And people say to me, because there was a really old attitude about competition with each other. But my attitude is enough for all of us.
More than enough. Way more than enough.
Well, actually, probably at the moment, there's way too many compared to us. And so, it's really important to showcase each other and work with each other, because what someone might see in you, of my clients, they might go, oh, I need to work with Tilern in this particular space because that will work better with me. And I think that for me is how I really care about my people the most, is because I open the doors up to everybody else. I'm not afraid to say, this is not competition. This is somebody that will look at it in a very different way. And it provides people with a diverse opportunity and scope of alignment for them, because really that's what this coaching stuff and all of my work, and probably all of your work as well, it's about them and their individual needs.
That is very necessary. I'm a firm believer in collaboration as well. And I always say to people when they hop on that initial consultation with me, I always say, listen, I'm going to try and see if we're a good fit, because I always caveat this and I always put this out there. I am not for everybody. I'm not, because the work that I do, it requires effort, it requires commitment. And if you're not in a space where you're willing to do it, then I would refer you to someone else who is probably more suited to where you are in your journey and your level of commitment, because it just becomes too much of a drain on my energy, which means I can't serve the rest of my clients. So if you're not at a certain level in terms of readiness and willingness, we simply can't work together. And that's just the way it is. But I always say I have a network of coaches I can refer you to. Someone else may be more suited to you, but if you're not for me, you're not for me. And I never try to make it work when it's not workable.
And I love that honesty, Tilern. I love that honesty, because, that's where we know we're authentic, isn't it? It's where we actually put the person first, because that's what you have to do in coaching, because we also have to put our boundaries in place. And I love the fact that you brought that up, putting boundaries in place for us, because working with someone that's not going to align with us actually puts us in a place where we can't be the best for the clients that are prepared to put the effort in.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, if I know you're at a certain stage in your journey when we have that initial conversation, then I will point that out to you, and I will not just shut you off. I will explain to you what I'm getting from our conversation and the reason for my decision. And then it's for you to determine, do you want to make yourself, make the shift so that you're in a space where you can work with me, or do you want me to refer you to someone else? And maybe it is that you go away for a couple of months and do that and you come back to me. Or maybe it is that you want to make your changes now, but you can't make them with me. I refer you to someone else. And then that way everybody wins, because I keep my energy levels high and you get someone who's able to support you, and everybody wins.
That is great. And that's our philosophy, isn't it? Really, around coaching. That's how you'll know. There you go, people. If you want to know the best way to choose your coach, it's no different to the way you would choose me as a psychic medium. You would choose me as a coach that way, or Tilern as well. You would actually choose us on whether you align to our energy. And again, whether you're prepared to put in the work from that initial discussion that we would have with you. So tell me, how does it make you feel when you're in the zone with your clients?
Um, I've never done jugs, but I think it might be. I think it might be comparable. When I call it flow, when every things are just falling into place and you're having a conversation and you're hearing your clients, and then you're speaking words. You know, sometimes I get into a zone where we're so in alignment that the words when as they speak, when I respond, they're like, "Oh my god," and you're like, "Okay, that's what you needed. You got it." And then the moment that I can repeat that statement to them and and I say, "Let that sit with you for a while," and we're both thinking about it. For me, that's like everything, because that you know that you've just given them what they needed in that moment to create a shift. That shift is going to last a lifetime. So for me, that's being in alignment is it's a high. I assume it's like drugs because sometimes I have to listen back to the call so that I can remember what we talked about because I'm literally in flow.
Yes, yes, I know. I actually really do relate a lot of my coaching stuff to my spiritual work. And I must admit, I cross them over quite a lot. I do often have a lot of loved ones popping in when I'm working with my clients, when I'm doing life coaching.
Oh wow.
So that's where my little twist comes in, is that I actually bring the energy from the other side in as well
Yeah.
to help
Oh
guide them,
wow.
and that gives me that flow, as you say. But that alignment is key. It is absolutely key
It's
to
necessary. It's
actually
necessary.
and
I love
just
being
when
in
you
that
see.
zone. That's the sweet spot.
I know. When you actually see the transformation on those, I mean, I love my 6 week. I often do a lot of 6 week transformations with people, and just to
Mm-hmm.
see the person walk out. The 12 weeks are very good as well. It just is that next step up.
Yeah.
The 6 week is really about changing habits and changing mindset, and it just is. I don't know. I'm sure you get the same. It's that glow, isn't it, from them?
Yes. I mean, I call it that. Oh, how do you put it? Bliss. Like I don't know if you call it
Yes, the
bliss, but
bliss.
that sort of
Yes,
like lightness that you're like, ooh.
it is. It's the bliss, isn't
You
it?
can't quite put your fingers on it, and it's like that heightened excitement, exhilaration of my God, she's done it or he's done it, and it's like, wow.
I know. That's where I do actually love my face-to-face clients, because I can just give them a big hug. It just, because the energy, it's just like, I guess it's really just like a flower blossoming for the first time.
Yes, yes, because so part of so backstory. So when I first decided that I wanted to start my coaching business, I was thinking of a name. So I got the name straight away, but I was thinking of the concept behind it. And so my coaching practice is called Thrive to Flourish. And a lot of people think of thriving as being in a place where everything's fine. But my concept on thriving is a little bit different. And I think this is where you put your roots down, where you lay the foundation so you can grow. But
Yes.
then beyond that, you have to grow up as a tree, as a plant. Then you put your branches out and then you blossom. So, like you say, it's about watching them go through the whole process and then having the most beautiful flowers to represent the change that they've gone through.
I love that. I love that. Thrive to flourish, the meaning behind that. And I should have mentioned that earlier. Sorry. Your business is now that's you have those other your pathways and your training,
Yes.
but your current business is Thrive to Flourish. And it's
Yes. So
about nurturing, isn't it? It's about, you
it
know,
is.
providing that nourishment that people need to become the best version of themselves.
Unapologetic.
Yes, I love that. And I love listening to you and
Unapologetic.
watching you with you when you're always chatting about how unapologetic you are. I think that's what, attracted we've both been
We
so
connect
lucky.
to that way. Yes.
I know, and we've just been connecting for quite a little while now, and it's been really,
Yes, we
really
have,
lovely.
and it's been a blessing. It's I'm glad. I'll be in Aussie soon.
I
Fingers
know, and then we
crossed.
can have
Fingers
you on the
crossed.
we can actually have you on the couch in person, which
Couch,
will be
couch.
fabulous. We won't
Yes,
have to do this, which will be great.
yes. I look forward to that.
Yeah. How about do you want to just share a little bit about how you're going over there with the COVID-19 and how are you coping? Because you're very different to us over here. You've actually been in total lockdown pretty much, haven't you?
Yeah, so we went into total lockdown, I think the week of the 17th of March. So we've just had our fourth week in total
Wow.
lockdown, which has been amazing. So for the first 2 weeks of lockdown, because you can go outside for daily exercise, to get basic food supplies for medical reasons. So if you're picking up prescriptions or going to a medical appointment, or if you're supporting someone who can't come out, whether it's they're self-isolating or they're too old or whatever the case may be. So we've got like local mutual aid groups, which is people in the community just coming together to support each other. So I was a member of that. So initially, when we were moving towards the lockdown, I was supporting people who couldn't get out, whether they were self-isolated or just in that vulnerable categories.
Yeah.
And so I was still running errands. And then I think 2 weeks in, it got to the place where they started issuing fines because people were still flaunting the lockdown. And so it moved to a space where I've just not been outside for weeks now. And
Wow.
it's just I've literally just been indoors, and I'm missing fresh fruits and vegetables. So I need to go to the supermarket this week.
And isn't it funny? Have you got toilet paper? I have to ask. Is there toilet paper in London?
I have toilet paper. I do. I do have toilet paper. I have lots of toilet paper. Um, so I live quite near to a very big supermarket, and I must say there was about a week and a half where toilet paper would not stay on the shelves. So whatever time of day you went, there was no toilet paper on the shelves. And then they started rationing, so you can only get, I think you can initially you can only get 2 packs of toilet paper, but now because the lockdown is more in being policed more, um I think a lot I assume they now have toilet paper on the shelves because not as many people are going out,
Yeah.
and they're rationing as well to make sure that every household is able to. But to be honest, for the past almost 4 weeks, I haven't been I haven't been outside. So I don't know what outside looks like beyond putting my rubbish out.
Wow. That's a really big thing, isn't it? And how are
It
you,
is. It
what
is.
strategies are you using? Because really, for me, if I'm lucky enough, as you know, I'm on a little bit of
You've got
land.
lots of lands. Yes.
So, I can go out there freely and don't have to worry about even seeing people.
Mm.
But for you, just to be able to go out, put your rubbish out, how are you? What? How is that going?
So it's a big excitement. So Thursdays are the highlights of my week. So on Thursdays are my bin days. So it's when we
Hasn't it
Thursdays
come back to the
it's like
basics?
really exciting. Right, it goes back to foundations. And so Thursdays are the most exciting days of my week because in the morning if I'm going for a walk for the week, it's gonna be on a Thursday. So I will go out for a walk. I will go down, put my bins out, go for a walk, go to the supermarket, and then come back in. And that will be it until the following Thursday if I'm gonna do it. And so
Wow.
it's I just because where I live we have parks nearby, but I've tried initially when we first went into lockdown, I tried going very late in the evening for a walk. It was crowded. I tried
Oh,
going very early in the morning. it was still crowded.
Wow.
So I stay indoors, but I do workouts and stuff like that indoors.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
just, for me, it's just been, I don't know what outside looks like. That's the truth of the fact. I haven't experienced it in the thick of it because I just haven't been outside. But for me, it's the whole experience has been about spending time alone, exercising, cooking, eating, all the good stuff. All the
Going
good stuff.
within. Whereas,
Yeah.
which is great because someone like you are able to keep your mental health in a nice state. Some people
Yes.
actually would not, the vitamin D would be making them starting to go very in a sad, depressed state.
Well, I sit by my windows. I sit by my window. Well, I sit under my window because in the mornings, the sun is coming into my living room. And so I tend to lay on the floor and just observe my vitamin D. And then in the evening, it's in my kitchen. So I go to my kitchen and get a little
Great.
bit more in the evening.
Oh, that's excellent. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're actually getting some of that around you, which is really good. That's
Yes.
so that's good. That I love the fact that we've had to go back to the basics of
Oh, very much.
embracing a
Very
walk to the
true.
garbage.
I know. Yeah, that's the extent of my COVID-19 experience. I don't go out unless I need to. Sorry, I've just got this
Yeah.
meeting note.
And how are the rates over there? Are they much better?
The
The COVID-19 rates, you know.
um I think I think they're still rising. I know there was a period where we started to see a reduction, and I must be honest, I don't watch the news.
No, me either.
And I very rarely, so I've got a little boombox in my kitchen, but I very rarely catch it because it comes on at set hours, and unless I'm in the kitchen, I tend not to hear the news updates. So I'm not quite. I think the last update that I heard, we had gone past 20,000.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And I think that put us. They were saying they put us in the top five or something like that. But
Oh, gee.
that was like a few days ago.
So
So
that's
literally,
obviously why you're still in lockdown then, I'm guessing.
yeah. So we had it reviewed last week, and I think it's now been extended until mid-May. So around about the 15th of May,
Okay.
we'll review it again.
Right.
But it's not been a big, apart from staying indoors, it's not really been a big part of my life because it's not like I'm following the news. I don't watch the news, period. And I see more about COVID-19 on Facebook than I hear on the radio or on the news. And I literally just block the updates because
Shut
it's
it
not
off.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the same as me. I sort of I try just to skip past anything COVID-19 that I see.
Mm. Yeah, that's how I deal with it. I haven't got a personal experience per se of it outside of having to stay indoors
Yeah.
and be excited about taking my bins out.
I just love that. That's gold. That is so gold. That's brilliant, isn't it? Here I am
Yeah, I
taking
know
my bins out.
some people actually get dressed up to take on bin day. Because like
Oh,
me,
that's
it's the only like me, it's the only time that they go outside.
yeah. Well, I guess, I've had some Zooms with friends, and the funny part about that is we're all finding that we're getting dressed up as well. Like I did for you today. I put on my little blingies for the
I love your
evening
bling. I love your bling.
just to try and, make it a bit more fun, even though I still can go outside. And we're
Mm-hmm.
not quite like you. We are only just starting to get toilet rolls. You can, so only
Oh.
last week, sorry, were you able to go into the supermarket, and most of the time, now I don't know if this is across the whole of Australia, I can only talk for our area.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter rang me last Saturday morning and said, Mum, there's toilet paper here. And she said, do you want me to get you some? I said, oh, I've got 4 rolls. I'm okay. And I said, I'll get some next week. And she said, what if you can't? And I went, well, hopefully I can. And I just had this feeling that things were starting to shift. Well, I went there in the afternoon and they had some. And I went, okay, things are starting to shift. So we've
Yeah.
probably been like that for 6 weeks with
Oh,
toilet
wow.
rolls. But yeah, it's been crazy.
Oh, wow.
But now, like when I went in on Saturday, there was toilet paper everywhere. So it's people obviously have filled their house full of toilet paper and they don't need to go out and get any. So people like
Yes.
me that didn't rush out because I have an abundance in my life and I don't feel the
Mm,
need to actually stockpile anything because I have that philosophy that everything always works out well for me and everything will come to me when I need it. So
absolutely.
I've been lucky enough to just find a few bits and pieces when I need it, but I do see it in the shops around me that it's there more and more. Even I
Mm.
was at the shops on Saturday, and you know the hand sanitizer.
Hence, yes.
We haven't been able to get that either.
Oh, that's something that's missed. That's something that I think here in the UK was out of stock as well, largely. And I suppose it's going to be similar to what you've got there, where gradually the stocks are being replenished and being maintained because people are not going out in the numbers that they were initially going out in. Because,
That's
like you
right.
said, probably because one, because of the lockdown, and two, because they've already taken all that they need.
I know, right? They're all going to be swimming in toilet rolls and canned food, and
Yes. But
um,
I will certainly tell you how I get on when I do go outside this week, because I will go out one day this week.
well,
I
I
need
look
to get
forward
some
to getting an update
fruit.
from that. We'll have to have you back on, when things settle down as well, and just
Yes, absolutely.
talk
Yeah,
about
that would be a
how,
pleasure.
yeah, and how things have changed and transformed, I guess.
Exactly. Do we go back to normal?
Yeah,
That's the
well, what is
question.
normal? What is normal and what's going to be normal?
What will the new normal look like?
And who are we to, what is our normal change, our individual selves? Because I'm sure that will change as well for most of us.
I trust that it does change for most of us, because I think most of us have not been honoring our truth. um Most of us haven't been really pursuing our passions and our desires because we've been too scared. And now that we're confined, we're like, we want to go out there, we want to do this, we want to do that. But then how many of us are actually going to go out there and do those things when this is all past?
Yes.
That's the
Have we created
question.
another bad habit?
Wow.
Or will we break it?
Well, well, this is where the interest is going to be in it unfolding. We have an opportunity now to really look at our foundations on a spiritual, emotional, and mental perspective, and it will be interesting to see when what would be the outcome when we look. Are we going to be honest enough with ourselves to say what we really need to change, and will we be courageous enough to honor that truth by following it up with action?
Absolutely. I
Who
totally
knows?
agree with you.
Who knows?
Watch this space, and I look forward to chatting with you another time about that. I look forward to that. That'll be great.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Tilly, tell us about the favourite part of your day, especially that you're inside all day.
My mornings are my favorite part of my day. So I give myself at least the first 2 hours of my day belongs to me. And for me, I do it because I worked in corporate and it was so difficult. When you have an early start to the day and you have the best intentions of looking after yourself,
Yeah.
you have the
Yeah.
best intention of cooking a lovely meal when you get in from work and doing your workout and doing all the good stuff that we want to do for ourselves. But the reality is, when you're working in corporate, sometimes you step out the door, you step into the office, and sometimes you don't step out your door, but you go into the office. And from that moment that you get online, you're constantly on the go.
You
And
are.
things would go, because I worked as a project manager. And so things could either go really, really well, or things can all be falling apart.
Yeah.
And so, because we had so many moving parts, it's so easy for something to spiral your day, and you get home or you leave the office space and go back to normal life, and all you want to do is have a shower and go to bed. and there's no healthy meals. There's no workout being done. There's no downtime to relax and read. All of that stuff just goes out of the window. And so it got to a space where I had to decide consciously to give myself the part of the day that I deserve, which is, so I give myself that part of the day. So whatever comes after I've given myself, whether that 2 or 3 hours, it doesn't matter. It doesn't faze me because I already had my time. So it's like, you can do whatever you want, but I've already had my time. And so for me, that's really grounding and that's reassuring because I take the time to nurture myself. And so I have that foundation to go into my day, whatever that looks like.
That is, I love that. I love that 2 hours, or 3 hours, because I guess it really grounds you as well. And as you say, it allows you to put
Absolutely.
yourself in a space where you can take on anything. You become like this big shield, I guess.
Yes, it has been life changing. It has been life changing for me on so many levels,
Great.
spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. Because in that 2 hours, I do my prayers, I do my meditation, I do my workout, I read, so I'm developing my mind. So all of that good stuff, I journal if it comes up. So all that good stuff I give to myself, and I make sure that I have that solid foundation. And for me, that's my best part of the best part of my day.
That is brilliant. I love that. And I'm in the process of redesigning the best part of my day. So watch this space. I
Let me know
haven't
how you get on with that.
Yeah, I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I am. I'm like you. I like to have the mornings to me. I like the mornings
Mm,
up until about 9:30. That is my time
that
because
is so important. So
it
important.
absolutely is. It's, whether it's feeding the dogs or tidying up or doing my exercise or just being outside.
Mm, yeah.
That is my time, and of course, I meditate every single day, often twice a day. And I do write a lot. So that's all really important stuff to me. That actually grounds me. And as we
Mm,
know, the importance of that for when we're then working with our clients.
yes, absolutely. Life changing.
So, how do you see your business moving forward? Given you've got all these great skills behind you, and obviously COVID-19, what are you going to do? Have you got anything exciting coming up?
So, what do I have coming up? So, this year was meant to be all about live events. So, probably I will do a couple of virtual events later in the year. But my biggest focus for the rest of the year is going to be launching my unapologetic rebel sister circle. So
Yay!
that's gonna be centered around community and support and getting that foundational piece done so that you can live in your essence, but focused on knowing that you're not in it alone. So I'll be recruiting lots of ladies to come and join me in that program, which we would start working, um, doing the work in July or at the beginning of July. So we're going to do it in on a term base so that you could come in based on where you are in your journey, because obviously I
Great.
want to make sure that wherever you are in your journey, as you're fitting into the pathway, so it's going to be split in two. So we'll do an intake in July and an intake in January. So that's going to be my biggest focus for the rest of the year, but I will still be working with one-on-one clients as well. So watch this space. Going forward beyond that, I think it will be live, lots of live events, retreats. I look forward to having hosting retreats as well. So we've talked about that. So we'll
We
see what
have, we
unfolds in
have,
2021.
we have indeed. Nothing better than co-creating, I say.
Yes, absolutely. So 2021 looks like it's going to board a lot of good stuff.
I'm just ready and open to, I'm living in the now. Absolutely. That's my main space is right
Yeah,
now. But yes, I look forward to what the future will bring because it's
possibilities,
very exciting.
possibilities, endless
Absolutely. And
possibilities.
and that's it. What else is possible? What else is possible? Anything, everything.
Anything is possible, and it's
It,
about being open enough to acknowledge that and to
Yes.
actually receive that anything when it comes, because sometimes we restrict ourselves so much that we say, you want goodness, but when the goodness doesn't look like you expect it to look, it's easy to sort of get riled up and be like, oh, I don't like that, that's not for me.
And I think that's probably a very big lesson from COVID-19, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
this is not what we wanted it to look like. You know, everybody had this expectation that
Oh
2020
yes,
was going to.
vision. The
I know.
2020 visions. I was saying that. Funny you say that, because coming into, so I think like October, November, I was like 2020 is going to be like a foundational year. And so everyone was talking 2020 vision. And I was like, okay, you got your vision. Do you have the foundation to support that vision? Do you have the foundation to make sure that it's going to last, whatever it is that your vision looks like? And so 2020 starts unfolding, and I'm like, okay, what's the foundation saying? A lot of people are cracking because they didn't look at the foundational elements first. They didn't look at their truth. They didn't look at their core values. And now they feel lost because they're forced to face their truth. And it's interesting. We'll see how it
Oh,
unfolds.
absolutely. And I know that you know, here in Australia we had all our fires, and
Mm.
then all up over Christmas, and then in my region we had fires, we had some flooding, and then we had massive hailstorms that destroyed over 33,000 cars.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a really, for some people, a very dark time. But for me, and obviously people like me, I'm using this time to transition myself and to keep myself grounded. That has been key for me. Keeping myself grounded, keeping myself calm, keeping myself filled with joy.
Mm.
And they have been, I guess, my most important key tools to keep bringing to myself, with myself each day. So when I wake up, it's not what I don't have, it's what do I have, and that's what I focus on.
And that's necessary. Otherwise, you drive yourself bunkers.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I mean, I said, I did a live series over the past 5 days, and one of the key things is about loving yourself enough to be gracious and compassionate to yourself. That the days that you don't have the energy, it's okay, and the days that you do, you accept that, and you do what you can with the energy that you have. And it's about always doing your best wherever your best is, whether it's at 20% or 100%,
That's
so
right.
that you can always look back and say, you know what, I did my best and that's okay. I'm good, I'm happy, I'm not regretting anything, and I don't need to beat myself up or judge myself for anything, because I've done the best that I know I could have done with what I had at the time. So lots of lessons to be learned in this season.
Absolutely.
um
Watch this season, huh? It's still unfolding
it is indeed.
because it's not over yet. I mean, COVID-19 is going to be around for quite a while. It is going to change our lifestyle. That's exactly the way it is, whether we want it, like it, or whatever else. It is what it is. But how are we reacting to that? That's the big key question. How are you reacting? How are you? So one of I always say, especially in my coaching, there's three things that we can control. Nothing else. Everything else is out of our control. It's how we
Mm.
react, how we act, and then how we think. If you actually don't, if you self sabotage, your thoughts will change your actions and your reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you ground and love yourself and give yourself loving, kind, gentle thoughts, you will always react and act in a very different way.
Oh, you are preaching, you are preaching, you are preaching. And it's one of the big things for me that I've found is that a lot of people don't love themselves because they are afraid to face themselves.
Absolutely.
And if you live in a situation or under circumstances where you're not sure which version of yourself you need to represent from day to day, or from room to room, or from house to house, or location to location, then it's really difficult, because it's like you're constantly at conflict with yourself. And so it's about getting into that space where you can say, and now is a good time to do it with all the time on our hands. Now is the perfect time to say, what do I want my life to stand for? In all that I do, what do I want my life to stand for? And then once you can hold that and be at peace with that thing, whatever it looks like, whatever it consists of, then once you acknowledge that and you can accept it, it moves you in a space then where you're like, you know what, this is my truth and I can express it freely, regardless to what other people may think. And then it makes it a lot easier to then act and
Absolutely.
react in ways that honor your truth. But until you face that, it's difficult to determine, what am I going to honor? What am I going to, what am I basing my reactions on? What am I aligning it to? So for me, that's the process.
Yes, and that is why I love the Louise Hay work so much. Her philosophies are exactly that. You have to start with loving yourself first. How on earth can you love anyone else to the great extreme that you want to when you actually don't even love yourself? So that's a pretty powerful message for everybody out there.
It is indeed.
Love yourself first, and then from there, the rest of the puzzle will actually fall into place. I think
We're in
that's totally
agreement on
fair.
that. We are agreement. We're in agreement on that for sure.
We absolutely are. Oh, so before we take off, can you share with us three of your top tips for helping people manage? We heard about how you actually, look after yourself, but how about for others managing their wellness during this time of change? What would you suggest
Managing
that they do?
wellness. Pause.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I
I
love
would
it.
say I would say pause. Okay, I'm gonna share four. So
That's
pause.
fine.
So I would say pause. Look inwards and learn to accept yourself. So become familiar with yourself, with your truth, every element of your truth, and make peace with that. So moving into a space of acceptance. So
Yes.
pause, accept, and make peace. Allow peace to be your path. Because I think if you do that, it's always easy to recenter yourself. So
Absolutely.
move into a space where you're not judging, you're not resisting, but you're trusting. You're trusting life, you're trusting yourself. And then that allows you to demonstrate your trust and honor yourself by taking consistent action. So walking by faith, even when things look difficult or challenging, know that because you know that you're going to be okay, because you know that life is supporting you, because you know that you're good enough, because you know that you can develop your skills or your abilities. You can then take action in a way that you're not fearful, but you're doing it with confidence, because you know you always have the opportunity to try again. So pause.
That is brilliant. I loved those four. They really resonate with me a lot as well. And I honestly believe our audience will get a lot from that. The beautiful part about all of those, they're free.
Absolutely
They're,
free. They cost you nothing.
that's right. And there's something that everybody can achieve.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I'm just going to go. We've got a few comments here. Up, 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 up. We've got a few comments here on our Facebook page. So I just want to acknowledge the people that have been sharing the last hour with us. Well, not quite an hour, but we're getting there. So we've got good morning. And yes, you are powerful. That's actually come from Shamika for you. She is you're powerful, and you are, and that's why I actually asked you to be
you.
here.
Thank you, Shamika.
And
And thank you,
Shamika
Sharon, for
also
the
says,
opportunity.
energy flows where the energy goes. And that, isn't that just such a wonderful statement? I love that. It's been around forever, but it's just so true. And Nicole's laughing that Darwin City Woolies have no toilet paper still. So, as I said to you, I'm not sure what it was like around the country. So, there you go. Nicole's answered that for us. And we've had a lot of people just tapping in and connecting with us, and it's just been grateful. I'm so happy to finally have you on the couch. I do absolutely look forward to having you back. And thank you
And I
very
look
much,
forward to coming back.
because this is like getting close to midnight at your time right now. So
It is now just past, yeah, just past 11.
that's rushing towards the midnight. So I
Midnight,
just
yeah.
want to say a huge thank you, Talene. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you for connecting with me, and thank you for sharing all your wisdom and thoughts, because you really have so much to share with the world. You're a wonderful teacher, and I look forward to doing more co-creation with you in the future.
Thank you for the opportunity for having me. And yes, I look forward to all the beautiful things that we will create together. Undoubtedly, I will be back.
You will be
And
back,
I
absolutely.
look
I'll
forward to
be,
that as
you
well.
know me, I'll be chasing you down. I'll be getting on your case. So it's great. I hope all of your people have enjoyed it, because I know certainly my people will. And what a treat for us to have you talking from London. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll speak soon.
Absolutely. Bye for now, everybody.
Okay,
Love
take
you
care.
all. Have a truly
Bye.
fabulous day in Australia. And every other part of the world, wherever you are, whatever time it is, take care, be kind, and know that life is really great, but just go gently. Go gently. Be kind to yourself, and know that you always are enough.
Absolutely.
Bye for now.
Bye.